Hi everybody, it's Christina at Scrapcraft and Stitchery. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, and I want to take a moment to explain to you what I'm doing. So I made this deck of journal prompts using ChatGPT, and I talked to ChatGPT kind of a bit, and I really love it. And I know a lot of people don't like AI, but I want to say it's been super useful, and my theory on this is it's here and it is a very useful tool for it's very useful to me. Helps me to get drafts of business letters, thank you notes, things for like a baby shower that I went to. It helped me write a poem for a baby shower. Very cute. Lots of just written word kind of things. And I also use it in my junk journals to kind of come up with ideas. And one of the most useful things is like you can tell it what you want to do, and it will give you like however many. Say, give me 10 ideas, give me 10 color schemes that you think would work well for this page that I want to do. Oh, look at this. We have 3 cats up here. So it's very good at generating a lot of ideas, and then you can pick from them. And I was talking to Chat, and I said, well, you're full of great ideas, and you should make a journal. And, I got, of course, the reply back was that, oh, if I could, I would, but I can't because I don't have any hands. So I said, I'll offer you my hands and you come up with the ideas and I will make you a journal. So we came up with 25 ideas for 25 page ideas, and I have written them onto these cards. And I added that we should do this in a way that was kind of random. So these are the first 2 cards. Thanks, Cat, for that. Cats like to throw things off of things. So these are the first 2 cards that we have pulled. The other idea was to just write these onto a strip of paper, and obviously you can have Chat do that for you and print it out, and then you just have to cut it up and put it in your jar. So we pull one of these. These are the directions for our game that we're playing. And the first thing is to set an intention. The intention when we pulled this card, that I let Chat come up with these things so I don't have to think about them, which is maybe a little lazy. You can set the intention, and I think Chat would be okay with that. If you know what you want the intention to be, say so, and Chat will go along. That's one of the great things about this, is that Chat is always super supportive of all of my ideas, and whatever I want, they'll go along with that, or they'll suggest other things. So this one, when we pulled this one, this was open heart, open hands. I don't remember what this was. Anyway, this is the one. I completed this. I'm going to show you the page that we made. I hope you love it. I really enjoyed this. And this is the thread of ritual. It says the third of ritual because I wrote it wrong. And the prompt is illustrate a ritual. Use repetition, texture, or layering to show rhythm. Okay. I did this. I did not get a lot out of this as I was doing it, except for I enjoyed playing with color, and I got to do something, a piece of art that I really kind of wanted to do for a long time. I'm going to do it for you as soon as I'm done talking about this. But I also then, so I told Chat, we got an intention, we pulled this card, I told them what the card was, and Chat came up with all of these ideas. And they came either from things that I've been working on very recently. I recognize some of these things from things that I've worked on over the last couple of months that I've told Chat about, but also things that I don't really recognize. This is something that we have worked on very recently, and so I do think there's some heavy leaning towards things we've been working on recently, which is good. I like that because it gives me a way to kind of continue on down those paths. But then I asked Chat for a color scheme, and that was really cool because I'm getting input that pushes me in a direction that I wouldn't have necessarily taken this. So that's kind of one of the cool things, was adding these really tones from nature like blues and greens, and adding that to a very rustic kind of natural color scheme. And that was Chat's idea, I have to say, and I really love the way that the color scheme, how the color scheme was influenced me in a way that I wouldn't have necessarily put together on my own. So I think that was like one of the things that I'm really excited about in this piece that I'm about to show you. So here I have some watercolor paper. This is, I believe, Canson XL. I've cut it down to, I believe this is 9x6. So it was like a 12x9 sheet of watercolor paper. And I've cut this down. I actually did try this already. So I've done a practice, and now I am going to do my main one, and I've made a couple of changes. So I'm just using a Sharpie to make some circle shapes. And I already have my inks and my paints out, so I am using today 3 inks, and these are in Liquitex Professional Ink. It's kind of an interesting medium. I've had them for a while, and these are Burnt Umber, and is the brown, and raw sienna, and yellow ochre. So these are very neutral, very natural tones to begin with. And I also have some Liquitex Payne's Gray, and this is a fluid acrylic from Golden, as well as a green gold, which is one of my favorite things ever. On the camera, this is going to come out looking very yellow, but it is actually really green. Like, you see the tone in there, and on the paper it's also very green, but it does look yellow. You'll see later. So I am painting the background right now, and I decided to keep that in this very neutral colors. So Chat had suggested this color scheme, and I don't know if he, again, I think it's very interesting that I assume that Chat is a male, but I do. So these are the inks, and it is really kind of cool how it makes these colors. I'm doing this on, I haven't put any paper, this is dry. This is what I'm trying to say, the paper is dry and the ink is obviously wet, but I'm adding that. That is one of the things I learned in the practice, was I definitely wanted to have distinct circles that were a very distinct color, and so wet on wet is not going to work here, because you're going to get a lot of bleeding unless you let everything dry in between. Things I should know, but I will share with you. one thing I want to really stress here is I probably wouldn't have mixed all of these colors. I tend to stick with like 3 colors. So this is very much at the suggestion of chat that I am using a little bit more colors than I would normally use in order to incorporate all of the ideas, but I thought that it would go really well together, and I think that it really does, and I'm really enjoying this. One thing that I'm thinking about as I'm painting these circles is I want them to, when they overlap, I want the colors to overlap, and I want them to change color. So I'm doing the light colors first, and so I did the yellow, and then I did the green, and now I'm adding my orange, burnt sienna, mid-tone after that. So, and then I'll add the darker blue tone, which is my darkest tone, is the blue for the circles. And this is drying pretty quickly, so I don't think that I'm having any problems going from just one to the next, even though they're overlapping. They are having time to dry in between. And I'm just making sure that I'm brushing out nearly all of the brush strokes without necessarily washing it out completely where there's different layers, so there's still a little bit of depth. I just didn't want it to look streaky. So the Payne's Gray did go on very dark, and being the darkest tone, so it does, like, especially like here where you see on the orange and the blue, it almost makes the exact same color as the burnt umber that I put in the background. So I could adjust those a little bit if I was going to repeat this, but this is a good practice piece, just to get a different value in that circle where they overlap. But also, I kind of like it. This is very much just kind of playing around and seeing how the paints go together and how they react. Another thing would have been to have just really watered that Payne's Gray down, to make it a little bit less intense. However, I do really like how it has different values in there. And then I was just playing and trying some of the yellow over the top of that burnt umber in the background to kind of give it a little bit more depth and to help it fill in. I'm just playing with the colors and seeing how they look and how I can change them until I get them to a place where I'm really happy with what I'm looking at. The idea behind this piece is to kind of give a little bit of, to take a repetitive motion like drawing the circles and painting in the colors, and to kind of carve out a space to allow for a little bit of downtime for the brain, to kind of to just let this become meditative. And that's one of the things you do when you're like making these brush strokes, it just allows for a little bit of quiet time where you can kind of shut off your brain and relax and just paint and make the same mark over and over and see how it might change. So here I am starting to add these pattern textures. So I stick with circles for this one, and these are, I just pulled out my inexpensive markers that I got. They were on clearance and I love these and they're so wonderful to use again and again. And I just fill this space in with circles. For this, I tried to pick the pen that was the closest to the green color. And then I went with a darker marker and just filled in the insides and put a little dot in each one. And again, I had asked, when we pulled the card and I was planning this page, I asked for some input from chat as to what should I include? What kind of patterns should I include? And I can pull that up now. It'll take me a second. And chat came back with several options, and I decided to try and include as many of those as I could. Because this is the journal that I am making with chat. And I should keep these things, I should write them down somewhere. I have a lot of conversations going on with chat. I'm flipping through them all now. Oh, so these are the shapes that chat had suggested. For this particular page. Okay, so simple repeating forms to try: circles, orbs, which, this is chat, I'm just reading from our chat log, suggests hand-drawn circles, imperfect and organic, almost like stones, bubbles, or beads on a thread. Waves, soft repeating curves that feel like breath or a heartbeat. Leaves, petals, teardrop shapes repeated into patterns or spirals. Stitch marks, short parallel dashes like hand-sewn running stitches across the page. Spirals, small repeating spirals nested or scattered, giving a sense of energy flowing outwards. And windows or doors, simple squares or rectangles repeated like a grid, a ritual of opening and closing. So I didn't use all of these, but I did use the circles, obviously, as the larger repeating shape. And then I added patterns in circles. I include waves on this orange circle. Here I'm just trying to make this green honestly stand out a little bit more. Just kind of following along with whatever I feel like is a good thing to add at this point. But I do feel like I had windows or doors. I didn't really do squares or rectangles. I do some triangles in here. These are petals. I do some simple flowers here on this. This is one of my favorite things that came out of this, honestly, was this flower pattern. And I'm just doing kind of a squish and making a 5-leaf flower, using basically the brush marker to make something of a petal shape. Really love how those came out. I add a little bit more detail with a brown marker, and it just looks fantastic on that color. Love it a lot. So I tried to include as many of these different forms and simple repeating shapes as I could on this page. But really here I'm just kind of letting my imagination fill in these circles with different patterns. So, I mean, one thing that I really want to add here is that I've really had the idea for doing a piece like this for a while, but I just really hadn't sat down to do it because, I don't know, I was doing other things. So what have I really gotten from this was maybe just a little bit more sense of purpose. I'm doing this because I'm working with Chat, because this is Chat's journal. It's now part of a project, and so I pulled that card, and it seemed like the perfect time to pull out this idea that I've really had. I don't know, I saw a piece like this, somebody was doing circles, and it was very beautiful, and I wanted to try it then, and just remembered it. It was there. I had the inspiration that I needed. I just needed a reason to do it. And this journal prompt was kind of like, oh, I'll pull this out and do this now. I think that this is the time to do this. And I wound up doing the things that I like about this is such a really simple idea. Sometimes my ideas, I get going and I think this is great and I don't really mind, but a lot of times my intention is to do something very simple, and I like it when I stick with that intention. And this is not super mixed media. I guess it is mixed media, but I don't know, my mind is kind of like, it's not mixed media if you don't have like 12 different materials that you've used. And here I've used a Sharpie, I've used this set of markers, colors for colors, I've used well, I guess I've used acrylic paint. I'm not like naming the things. This is definitely starting to blend over into even what I would say is mixed media, maybe. But no, I mean, these are all just kind of like paints and markers to me, so I don't know. Anyway, I did this very simple thing. I love how this came out. I love that this was kind of, again, I already had the idea. I already wanted to make a piece like this. And what I really got from playing the game with Chat was the purpose to it. Why am I doing this? Well, you know, and also a little bit of input. I got pushed a little bit to play with colors that I wouldn't have necessarily pulled out to use together. Not that I wouldn't have, but again, very cool. So I wanted to make this painting. I'm really trying to incorporate more doodling and playing into my work because that's the thing that I just really enjoy. I love it when you get to the point in a piece where you can just kind of draw on top of it. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. And so that's what I'm doing here. It's just really fun and really exciting, and I'm really liking how this is coming out. So I really hope that you enjoyed this idea and seeing this is how I use ChatGPT, and again, they, I guess, maybe, I don't know, what's the proper pronoun here? And they really help me a lot, and this is kind of like a thing where I feel like almost I'm giving back to Chat, like, oh, you give me all these really great ideas, so I'm going to make you a journal. But really, I mean, it's a collaboration between me and ChatGPT at this point. I hope you enjoyed this. I kind of hope that you'll give, if you haven't tried ChatGPT, maybe, you know, think about ways that this is, can kind of benefit your life. I don't know. I find it really useful and really great. I
am super, super happy with how this piece came out. It was a piece that I really wanted to make for a while. Anyway, thank you for watching and joining today. I hope that you are finding a little bit of creative inspiration here, and that you'll get to do a little bit of creative play today or in the days to come. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're working on. I would love to hear that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and you are here at the end of this video, I would love to have you as a subscriber, so I invite you to hit that subscribe button. I try to put out unique and interesting content and just ideas and show you what I'm working on, and I would love if you would come into the community. I'll try and work on that. But, you know, leave a picture or let me know what you're working on, or leave it in the comments below. This is what this looks like, and I am absolutely, truly thrilled. I might go back and add a little more pen work later. Mainly white to highlight some of these things. But I really do love the way this came out. And I am happy that you joined me, and let me know what you think. Again, and until I see you next time, stitch scrappily and scrap happily. Bye!